You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast, the hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the big show. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. As always, the Chris Voss Show is the family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law. And, when you listen to the Chris Voss Show, it gives you the Chris Voss Show glow. It's this ambient aura that envelopes you when you listen to the show. And you learn so much. Your brain just, I think we can say scientifically your brain increases by at least 0.015%. I don't know what that means. But that or it's just brain swelling. You should probably have looked at an ER near you. But other than that, if you've fallen, maybe. I don't know. Or if you've fallen, sometimes you feel like you're watching the Chris Voss Show. Anyway, guys, we have the most amazing authors on the show, and refer them, your family, friends, and relatives, to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. We have an amazing author on the show with us today. Her book is called Too Brown to Keep, A Search for Love, Forgiveness, and Healing. Came out September 20th, 2019. Judy Fambrough-Billingsley is on the show with us today talking to us about her book. She is part of a quest that she began many years ago to answer many questions of her life. During her journey of discovery, she earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree, a California Lifetime Teaching Credential, and Master's degree in Educational Administration from the University of Laverne, California. She's retired now and a mother of 2 sons and 4 grandsons, a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Eta Gamma sorority. It's like a tongue twister there. Alpha. Dude, how many alphas are in there? And a member of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Sacramento chapter. The author finds time to serve her church and community in many ways. Welcome to the show, Judy. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're an alpha. I'm part of the Alpha Beta sorority. It's an old grocery store from the 70s.
For men.
Yeah. It's an old grocery store from the 70s. Alpha Beta. Remember that?
Yes. You know what? I do remember that.
Yeah, when I was a kid in Cali.
I do.
Alpha Beta. Whatever happened to that store? Anyway, somebody probably bought it.
Yeah.
But Ralph's is still around, I think. Anyway, give us your .coms. Tell us where people can find you on the interwebs.
Well, you know what? I don't even, on my website is under judyfambrough-billingsley.com. Okay.
There you go.
I do have a Facebook page, which is J as in Jack, F as in Frank, and B as in Billingsley, and then .author. But usually, if you type in my name, even if you miss the Fambrough and do the Billingsley, I pop up, and you will definitely, find me on Instagram as well.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview of the new book, Too Brown to Keep.
Well, I was answering a question that I always had in my life that all of us human beings ask ourselves, whether it's conscious or subconsciously, and that is, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And because I was adopted, I wasn't quite sure, especially when my teacher asked me to write when I was in sixth grade, who do you look like? And I'm like, well, I don't look like either one of them, my parents, because they adopted me.
Who do you look like?
So,
wow.
Yeah. Who do you most look like? Your mom, your dad, and I'll never forget that assignment because I just couldn't do it.
Wow.
And so that kind of got me on the quest of searching and answering that question, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And that memoir here is for that, talking about it.
There you go. So did you know that you were adopted up until then?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
One nice thing, my adopted parents did tell me
Mhm.
from day one that I was adopted because my sister was adopted with me. I was 2, she was 8 when they met us in New York at the airport, and we were handed over to them, and
Wow.
that's how we got to America.
And how old were you when you were adopted then?
Well, I was 2 when I came.
Okay.
Officially adopted was later on down the line. I was 2 years old, and actually had to have a nurse with me
Mhm.
flying from Germany because it's a 21-hour trip.
Yeah.
And my sister, she's full-blooded sister
Mhm.
of mine. We have the mom and same dad. She was um, 5 at the time.
Now, was there something about your parents that were your parents white or black?
My father was African American
Mhm.
U.S. soldier, Army,
Mhm.
and my mom was a white German woman.
Okay, so that's why you saw the difference when you were asked in school about that. Um, now
No,
the time.
no,
Oh
no. It
no.
had nothing to do with race. It had to
Oh,
do,
okay.
yeah, no, not for me. It wasn't about race. It was actually about physically. Who do I physically look like?
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
clarifies that. I was assuming that thing, so it's good we nailed that down.
Mhm.
Um, now, so you don't remember your original parents from the age that you were adopted.
No.
Okay, there you go. And let's see. So tell us more about growing up with them. What kind of influenced you and how you got down that road of like you started looking for this, and what was the journey of discovering, your past history, why you're put up for adoption. I guess that leads in the title of the book.
Yes, it does. Um, You know, what happened to me is, and I talk about it in the book and share, but my story is that the frame of mind that everyone has to get into is that I was born in 1950. So that is after World War II, which ended in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so during that time, if you think of Germany and Hitler and the Aryan race, they were the pure Aryan race and,
Mm-hmm.
anti-Jewish, anti-Black, all of that.
Yeah,
Um,
they thought they were the pure race. Let's just put it that way. They
hey,
thought they thought they
think,
were.
thinking makes sometimes, things happen as we can see
Yeah.
today. But what my birth father was called back to the United States. Of course, he was gone. Then my birth mother decided that she didn't need to hassle with my sister and I. And so
Wow.
we were put in a kinderheim. And I talk about how that black car came and picked us up, and we left our village, never to see anyone ever again.
And a Kinderheim is a car. Is that correct? I don't know. I'm assuming. I just want to lay a
Well,
foundation of
it
what
would
that
be
is.
nice if it were, Chris, but
Oh,
Kinderheim is an orphanage that we
oh,
call.
it's an orphanage. Okay.
Yeah,
I just want to lay that foundation of what that
thank
was, so
you.
people knew. Because when you said you're picked up in a kinder, no, and driven off, I was like, wait, is that a car?
I
Yeah,
know. Yes, yes. And
yeah.
all of this that I share in the book, and I do say it in the introduction, is through my research.
Mm-hmm.
At 2 years old, I didn't remember anything other than knowing that I was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
My adopted parents always assured me that I was loved and I was given up due to my mother loving me. And I always had a big question about that and
Mm-hmm.
discovered that that wasn't exactly the right story. But, you know, and so we came to America. Actually, when we were dropped off at the Kinderheim in Mannheim, Germany, which I did have an opportunity to go and visit, um, there were hundreds of us biracial kids. And that's the first time that the United States experienced having uh, children
Mm-hmm.
from their soldiers. Okay,
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
we were actually children who were without a country because being born in Germany, I had German citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
I had German birth certificate, German name, German birth certificate, all of that. Put in the Kinderheim. We were advertised on newspapers throughout Europe and the United States. And
Mm-hmm.
my parents, adopted parents who could not have children, saw that advertisement and adopted my sister and I together. Thank goodness.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now the title of the book is Too Brown to Keep. Is there something behind that title?
Very much so. I don't. I do want to preface by saying that the book is not all about racial.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened to me, I was in Germany and I was at a birthday party in Germany in the village, a
Mm-hmm.
small village that I was there till I was 2. And I had a very public, hurtful rejection from my older sister who still lives in Germany uh,
Mm.
and was not adopted with us. And it was embarrassing and hurtful. But I wasn't about to do anything. I took the high road and
Mm-hmm.
said nothing and walked away. And so in the village, I was spending the night at my babysitter's house. At that time, she had babysat us when we were little. And in the middle of the night, Chris, believe it or not, all of a sudden, I hadn't named my book. I'd been writing it, but hadn't named it. And it said, wow, too brown to keep, because there was some racial stuff that she had said to me in German.
Okay.
Okay. And so I jumped up out of my bed and I wrote it down because that if I had have stayed asleep and woke up in the morning, I would not have remembered the title.
Yeah.
That's and basically it is about when you look at the history and everything that us biracial kids were not accepted. Um, there are 6 of us that my birth mom gave away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when I found out, I'm the only one that is brown skinned. My sister, who has the same mom and dad, she has blonde hair, green eyes, she's light skinned. Only when I show up do you know. And so I always thought all of my life that because of my brown skin, I had ruined it for everyone else. So I kept that burden for a
Oh.
long time until I discovered that that was not the case. But that
It's
was
still a burden you carried. And I mean, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I imagine a lot of adoptive children go through this. They're like, why was I rejected, right?
yes,
And it haunts
yes,
them. And it creates, I think, sometimes a hole in their life,
it
especially
does.
in their future relationships, where you know I know that with mother and father abandonment with children,
Mhm.
that happens too, and it creates a hole and it affects their future relationships. Where if they're rejected in love, it opens that wound again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes we sabotage that.
Yeah,
That was,
to
I
create it.
yes, to rather than them leaving us, we create it so they will leave us and we expect it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of psychology in that. And I do want to make sure the audience realizes too, though, that abandonment doesn't necessarily have to be just adoption. You can
Hmm.
be abandoned through
Oh yeah.
someone, through death.
Mm-hmm.
You can be abandoned by even living in a home, but there isn't much love and affection, and so you're abandoned. So we all experience basically the same thing, but abandonment crosses all racial and ethnic lines.
Yeah, I sent my kids off to military school till they're 18. As soon as they came out of the womb, we threw them right in the car and sent them.
They abandoned you, or did you abandon them?
We keep moving and faking our death, so they're teenagers now. So we're trying to. Mari keeps calling me to come on a show, and I'm not doing it. So.
No way. You don't want her to tell the truth, right?
Well, I don't want a DNA test to connect me to whatever that was. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was raised, Chris, that you don't air your dirty laundry.
Well, I do. This is how we work on this show. This is how we do
The
the Chris
family
Voss
dirty
show.
laundry.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, they're good kids, I'm sure. I mean, it was that or send them to the Chinese organ harvesters and give me a new BMW for those little kidneys. Don't do that, folks. That's bad. Now I'm going to get hate mail. So how does the journey work when you go back and try and research this stuff? It can be very hard for a lot of adoptees to get data on who their parents were, why they were put up for adoption. What's it like trying to go back through all this?
I love research. what I focused in on for my career was being a teacher, and I was a social studies history teacher. So I preferenced my answer with that I love research. And so one of the things, the motivating factor, of course, is discovering who truly am I. And I had a double-edged sword because I don't speak German. So therefore, I lost that language coming to the United States. But I was blessed that my adopted father had kept a shoebox full of the adoption papers, both in German and translated in English. And so he handed that to me when I turned 25 and said, I think you're old enough now. And who I focused in on first was my birth father, because one, he spoke English, two, the military keeps excellent records.
Oh, wow.
Excellent records. If you're looking for ancestry, boy, military records are great. And so I, through the adoption papers, actually had his last known address. And I'll just say, maybe for some of your listeners who are younger, back in my day, there wasn't the internet in the beginning, and therefore we dialed 411, which was information operator.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yes. And so I went through Pemberton, New Jersey. I went through the 411, asking the operator to give me the phone numbers, and they'd only give 3 at a time. And that's how I found him, through the phone.
Through the phone.
Mm-hmm. So, you know,
with the 411, as they used to call it.
411, yes. And you know, I don't use that anymore. I used to use that and say, "Hey, give me the 411," but people look at me like, "What is that?"
Hip to be square. There you go.
It's supposed to mean give me the information, but you know, nowadays nobody knows that.
I think nowadays they have their own stupid lingo that they made up.
You know what it's called? Google. Google that. My grandson, you know.
Oh, that's right. It is called Google that. Yeah.
He'll ask a question, and my son, you know, he'll look at his son, my grandson, and say, "Google it, Deb."
Yeah, I do that to my mom all the time. She'll ask me just about any banal question and I'll just be like, you know, you can Google this stuff, Mom. If you know, because she wants it right away. You know,
Yes.
she's like, I need this information now, and I'm like, you know, and I'm usually, you know, busy with 50,000 things. It's like, you know, you can't Google it, Mom. I'm just trying to help you. I don't mind helping you, but you know, if you want the information faster, it's available there. So, how long did it take you to research all of your past and your adoptive parent, or your parents, your biological parents? How long did that take to?
You know, this was it's a great question. This was really a lifetime experience for me, because I would do bits and pieces. I discovered my birth father. I do have to say I was blessed when I called him that he did not deny that I was his daughter, because you can get rejected, of course.
That happens.
Yeah, but you know, life takes over, Chris. I got married. I had 2 sons. I was going to college. I was teaching. You know, you buy a house. You know, all of that. So I was setting those things aside. It was not a top priority because I needed to raise my kids. And then as they grew, left home, actually, I did not really start back until they were teenagers. And my birth dad got in contact in the village, because he still spoke German. He'd been in Germany for 15 years or so. That I then had my lady who babysat me, and she spoke nothing but German, but they contacted me. So I began that and took my kids actually over to Germany for a while.
Oh, wow. And wandered around. And now you said your sister still lives there. Do you have an amicable relationship with your sister, the one that said ugly things to you when you were a child?
Oh, she said ugly things to me when I returned.
Oh,
yeah, that's that was one of the rejection pieces. She hated me being there.
was it over a reflection of race?
You know, I believe that yes, because when I went back a couple of times. Well, I've been back to Germany every other year till COVID. She did say that I was the reason that, because she was given up also. My birth mother left her with the babysitter in the village after we had gone to the Kinderheim.
Wow.
And my birth mother left her with our babysitter in the village and went to work and never returned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I think that life's challenges, that's one of the messages in the book, is that we have resilience. And, for me, it's not about anything other than me having the joy in my own life. And I'm not going to allow anyone who has hurt me to take away my joy. And so I wanted to look and research, see who I was, see who I look like. I look like my mother, but I have my dad's skin color.
Were you able to find your mom then?
Yes, I did. And
Did you talk to her?
I did. She didn't talk to us, though.
Oh.
And in the book, I talk about our first and last and only meeting with her.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, but I was prepared for that because I had done my homework in regards to some mothers who do reject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And you would think with a story with your sister, you would think that, adopted siblings would bind together, kind of a life raft, and support each other. So that's interesting as well. So now what are you up to? You've written the book, you're sharing your story with people. How are you using this to empower others and influence others?
Well, one of the things that I was really on a roll before COVID, I was actually doing personal book appearances and speaking, which I dearly like. And then I switched during COVID to Zoom. I'm pretty good with Zoom. And so I have had books, talks through Zoom. And I'm kind of getting back now into podcasts, which I'm learning about. And thank you, Chris, for allowing me here. I was on Spotlight TV network with Logan Crawford. And I'm also would like to branch more into personal speaking. I love speaking, and I love engaging the audience as well.
There you go. Do you do any coaching or consulting to adoptive parents, things like that?
I have had parents who have adopted or fostering biracial children have called me and talked to me, and I coach them. I don't push myself on them if they call. I do have a group that has asked me to come and talk to them and answer questions. So I do that, and I'm certainly available for that.
We were talking before the show about how I'm not sure if it was a viral trend. Sometimes you're on TikTok and you'll see these things and you're like, that's kind of odd. And then you realize it's like a viral trend. It's something going crazy. And I think it might have been a small one, a wave or something. I don't know. But there was a bunch of videos I saw. This was about 2 or 3 days ago. I spend too much time on TikTok, clearly. Who doesn't? And it's so addictive. It's so addictive. But there was this back and forth, of I guess a white couple who had adopted a black child. And I guess there was a lot of black people who were not too happy, like, why are white people doing this? And there were other, I think, black people defending the couple, going, hey, like, who cares? It's love. If you love a child is a child, right? And you just want what's best for them. And I know a lot of people that they can't have children, they want children, and sometimes it's done in service where they're just like, I'd like to have another kid without that whole, having breeding and 9-month thing. And I really can't blame women for that. That 9 months never sounds like a lot of fun from all I've seen. But I'd skip that process if I was a man. I'd just be like, we're just going to skip to the good part, I guess.
Good part, yeah, the fun part.
I'm not sure the diaper part's the fun part, but that's something. I have no idea. But so I don't know. That's probably something you could maybe help people with, understanding, the value in, being adopted regardless of race and things like that. I think I don't know if you have any thoughts on what people are doing over there on TikTok, maybe.
I don't know anything about TikTok other than, sometimes
Yeah.
comes up, but I definitely certainly want to address that because um, it's not about what I talk to foster or adopted parents who have biracial children is only that what we need to learn, which a lot of people haven't heard that term, a code switching.
Hmm.
And what that means is, and I'm an example of it, so I'll use myself,
Hmm.
is coming to America way back when I came to America in 1953, so you can see how old I am.
Hmm.
Biracial children we were extremely unique. In fact, the
Yeah.
TV stations wanted us on television. We were
Wow.
unique. And so nowadays that's not the case. But
Hmm.
I was grateful that I had parents, and they were both African American, who adopted my sister and I, but they did not ignore the white side of me.
Hmm.
And so, what my dad, who was a very successful businessman, did during a time I grew up in a community where the KKK was a little prevalent, okay?
Hmm.
But my dad, because he was a successful businessman, we would go to all white functions,
Hmm.
and they taught us the etiquette and norms
Oh,
of
wow.
what we were to do. And then I went to an all black church. My mom was president of the NAACP for a while. And so I learned the etiquette and the norms of African American culture. And that's what code switching is. And we all do it,
Hmm.
regardless of race, is knowing the environment we're in and what's acceptable and what's not. And I
Hmm.
think with foster parents and adopted parents who have biracial kids, what they don't want to do is just have them in their own culture. They need to make sure that they expose them to the other culture that they have as well.
Oh, wow. There you
And that's
go.
a learning experience because most white people, to be honest with you, and Chris, and push back if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Most white people have never been to a function where they're the only white person there.
Yeah.
But we, as I know I have, I've been to many functions where I was the only African American dark skinned person there. I fit in, I didn't have a problem with it, I didn't even think about it. But
Mm.
that's what we have to do is expose our kids.
There you go. Get everybody, in the program.
Yes.
It's an interesting thing. I mean, I always wanted to be adopted. In fact, we
I'll adopt you,
recently.
Chris.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've always joked that I don't look like my parents, and in fact, we recently took another DNA test to prove it.
Oh, stop
My
it.
mom, no, she actually really wanted to do an ancestry.com, and I was joking. Evidently, I took back when 23andMe came out
Yes.
about 10 years ago. They sent me a complimentary influencer copy,
Uh-huh.
and so I took a DNA test, and she was
Mhm.
very bent out of shape at the results of it, but because some of the countries that I was showing I was coming from were
Uh-huh.
different than hers. And so the running joke for 10 years has been like, well, I definitely was adopted. And my
That's
family had a bit of dysfunction to them.
uh-huh.
They're good people trying to do their best, but
Mhm.
they're really fucked up. Wait, did I say that out loud? Their families. There you go. And so the joke has always been that I've been adopted, and
Mhm.
and she's like, yeah, we didn't adopt you, and I'm like, no, I got switched at birth. I was one of those '70s, I was one of those '60s kids where some
Yeah.
some nurse was
Yes.
evil and switching babies. That's what she was smoking, and she dropped her cigarettes, and
Handed the wrong
she
one.
was smoking there in the room there in the hospital.
Yes. Yes.
Switched
I
the
remember
name
that
tags wrong,
story.
and I'm like, yeah, that's what happened to me. I'm pretty sure because
Yeah.
I seem to be smarter than everyone else in this
Yeah.
room. And but yeah, we finally took an ancestry,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, I'm not adopted. So
Well, I did the 23andMe,
yeah.
uh, and um, uh, and I had done it before. I actually had even gone to Germany. I was just doing my research, but I did the 23andMe, and my grandmother, who is my birth mother's mother, she was Ashkenazi Jew, and so during World War II, the Nazi Germans came and got her and put her in a concentration camp, and she died there. But 23andMe, when I did mine, I was a quarter Ashkenazi Jew, Jewish, which was, and I felt really proud of all the sections of, my DNA that came through. 51% European, had a little bit of African in me and all of that. And I'm like, I'm just a walking world representative.
Yeah. We did the full test on the rest of our family, and we can't figure out why some of our family, evidently their DNA test came back that they're really stupid. And no, I'm just kidding. Just being funny.
Yes, okay.
We didn't have to do a DNA test to find that out.
Yeah.
See how I set that up? There you go.
But I do want to say, Chris, that for people who are searching for their ancestry, 23andMe DNA, looking into it is helpful. I know that my birth dad, his kids, submitted his 23andMe DNA. They didn't know anything about me, but having done it, it did verify too that, hey, I am his daughter, So you can do some research if people are interested in their heritage through that.
Was there any chance, I imagine with those things, you can maybe find grandparents. Any chance you were able to find the grandparents and stuff?
I didn't find grandparents, but I do have with 23andMe, you know how they give you alerts, and there's distant cousins and that kind of thing throughout Europe. Yes, I did. And also through Pemberton, New Jersey, back on my birth dad's side as well. Yes. I don't communicate with them, but it was kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I've started getting pop-ups from that ancestry, and I'm like, I really don't want to know about more of my family. I know too much. So.
I was going to say that what's interesting too for me is when I was writing the book, because I didn't set out to write a book. Actually, it's only when telling friends about, I discovered this, or do you know I have another sibling I discovered? They're like, you need to write a book. But what I'm saying about the book is it's only 142 pages, because I feel like our attention span is not that long. And I just focused in on my experience through that part of life.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I had a business partner whose girlfriend, and I think later fiance, was adopted, and she was trying really hard to find it, but it was the USA records, and there's some sort of policy of being closed off, or not. Yes. You can't find your person because they don't want you to find them.
Yeah.
Kind of like my situation with my kids in the military school, and
you don't want them finding you, huh?
No. I faked my death at least twice to make sure that we've covered our tracks. So I changed my name. My name's really Bob Smith, and or wait, maybe that's the way I'm changing it next week.
That's probably a lot of Bob Smiths around.
Yeah, you don't want teenagers to find you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because when I was in the village, I was grateful when I first went to the village. And it is a village, truly. Okay, I'm not talking about a little town. It was a true small village. And the older people, I was grateful for the older people who came running out, Uta, because that's my German name, coming to hug me and everything. So that was a time that I was grateful that they lived long enough, to validate that I had lived there, and that they knew me. Yes.
Wow. So they remembered you from when you were 2 then?
Yes. Wow. Actually, from when I was born and brought to the village, because my birth mother lived in the village when I was born.
Wow.
I was born in the hospital in Frankfurt, Germany, but brought to the village. Yes, they did. And, it was kind of interesting. Our lifestyle is so different in America because in the village, they would see me walking, just walking, around, and they say, Uta, Uta. And so I would come up and have tea and go in anybody's house. I didn't know who they were, in the United States, you'd probably get killed.
I do that now. I just walk
You
in.
do that now.
Like, my name's Uta.
You are a brave.
Do you remember me from a child? I don't do it in Texas, though. Yeah.
My sister lives in Texas.
Yeah, but Texas, you're probably going to get shot if you do.
Yes.
Walk into someone's house. It's probably the place where you get shot.
Yes. Yes.
Well, up here in Utah, everyone leaves their doors open anyway. At least they used to up until about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
California, they're not going to shoot you. They're probably going to offer you like a zucchini shake or something like that.
And what you're sharing right now is a part of code switching, Chris.
Oh, is that
what
it is?
What I mean?
Okay.
You are telling me how you know the difference of the culture in Texas versus the difference in the culture in Utah.
Yeah.
So, and so that's code switching. You know what behavior is accepted.
If you walk into someone's house in California, they're just going to say, "Are you here for the yoga?"
or the marijuana. One or the other.
Marijuana, yeah. That's California for you.
Hey, yeah.
Were you going to the beach with us? What's going on?
Yeah.
So this has been very insightful. Give us your final pitch out on people to order the book and get in touch with you on your website.
Well, I am, again, the book is Too Brown to Keep, A Search for Love, Forgiveness, and Healing. And if you Google my name, Judy Fambrough-Billingsley or Judy Billingsley, you will find me. On my sites, also, my book is available, not only soft copy, but also audio on Amazon.com.
There you go. Amazon.com.
Amazon. I self-published my book, which is nowadays is getting common for people.
It is very common, actually.
Yeah.
The AI is making it even commoner. Like, people are like really going out of control with the AI. So,
they are. I didn't have AI. I was busy hiring people to edit my book.
yeah. They've got these people that are just bombing the AI thing like it's going out of style. It's pretty insane. So they're just making books, like they're hijacking books with AI. I saw Kara Swisher's book when it came out recently, and she had a bio coming out that I think she self-wrote. And so they hijacked all of they hijacked her book with fake AI bios, and so you couldn't. So they flooded the zone. So people were like, "Which one's her book?" And it was crazy.
Are you serious?
I'm serious as a heart attack. I just had Frank Flaguzzi on the show with his book Long Road, I think it's called, he said that they had to start getting with. He's kind of targeted because he's an ex-FBI agent. He's an ex-assistant director to the FBI, and so he gets kind of targeted by groups, and he's very vocal online, and so they, China. He's not. Let's just say he's not traveling to China or Russia anytime soon, and. You're the assistant director of the FBI. You don't make a lot of friends, evidently. at least not with the bad people. So he was talking about how his book got hijacked, and some people have copied it and resold it, and I guess they're selling it without. They're selling it with the cover, but nothing inside of it. It's basically a scam book. And so they had to get with Amazon. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on. But self-publishing has really become a thing.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah. Do we get your .coms as we go out? Any socials you want people to look you up on?
No, they can just Google me, and Facebook. You could do Facebook, which is jfb.author. But with the Google, you'll click Instagram, you'll click those sites. I'm sorry, I have them sitting here, but should I say them out loud?
Yeah, you can. Sure.
Oh, okay.
That's why we asked for your presence.
You're certainly welcome to email me at judyby10, JUDYBI 10, the number 10 at gmail.com.
There you go.
And my website is judyfambrough-billingsley.com.
Mm-hmm.
And Instagram is Fambrough-Billingsley.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on Facebook, of course.
There you go. The old Facebook there.
Yes.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes, I think that's kind of old school. I know even though I'm retired, I still work at schools. I coach new administrators, principals, and vice principals, and I'm there. And the young people, they're like, Facebook? No, they're into Twitter and what's that, X?
Oh yeah, that's the old Twitter now. It's
Yes,
X, yeah.
and TikTok. And so it's kind of interesting. So I know my audience, okay? It's not teenagers.
There you go. You got to know your audience. That's definitely a thing.
Yes.
So It's been wonderful to have you on. Thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it.
And thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. Thank you.
There you go. So to our audience, order the book wherever fine books are sold. Too Brown to Keep, A Search for Love, Forgiveness, and Healing by Judy Fambrough-Billingsley. You can find it wherever fine books are sold. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.